The Coastal Zone and Waterways Management section of Dubai Municipality provides expertise for the implementation, management, technical review and maintenance of coastal and marine engineering projects. To support this mission, the Management section has been running a Coastal Zone monitoring program since 2002, which has engaged in the establishment of a comprehensive environmental database. The CM10051 project has now been expanded to include a total of 10 stations monitoring the entire Dubai coastline, both nearshore and offshore, and into the Dubai Creek. Real-time data is provided from all stations to a website server that streams select data onto the Dubai Municipality Coastal Monitoring website, www.dubaicoast.ae. Within the CM10051 project, all data is collected by the following items of scientific equipment. This is an acoustic Doppler current profiler, abbreviated to ADCP, and is installed facing upwards on the seabed. An ADCP measures wave height, period and direction and current speed and direction at sequential depths throughout the water column. This is a water quality sonde, and its sensors on the lower end measure the conductivity, temperature, pH levels, oxygen content and chlorophyll concentration in surface waters. Meteorological stations, both offshore, installed on two of the buoys, and nearshore, measure relative humidity, temperature and wind speeds and directions. Lastly, two different types of tide gauges, seabed installed and vertical installed, measure tidal heights. The seabed installed version is also able to measure some surface wave information where required. A total of 9 monitoring stations are now up and running along the Dubai coast, where real-time data is being harvested from each of the following sensors. An ADCP and meteorological station 20 kilometers offshore of Jebel Ali, a tide gauge in nearshore Jebel Ali waters, an ADCP system just offshore of the Dubai aluminium plant, a tide gauge and ADCP just next to the Jumeirah Beach Hotel, a tide gauge ADCP and water quality sonde at Jumeirah Open Beach, a tide gauge in the creek at Dubai Festival City, a tide gauge and horizontally mounted ADCP in the creek mouth next to the Shandaga Customs House, an ADCP water quality sonde and meteorology station 25 kilometers offshore of Palmdera, and an ADCP and tide gauge in the waters off Al Mamzar Park. This image details the remote telemetry system currently working between 7 of the remote sensing stations and a central server. Working from the top to the bottom, it can be seen that all of the different sensors installed in the field feed data into a number of different data loggers, which are installed at each site in water-resistant electronics housings. From these data loggers, data is either passed to cellular modems, which are also installed at each site, or to a number of hardwired PCs. From the modems or the PCs, all data is sent to a central server which feeds the Dubai Municipality website. Here are a few print screens taken from the Dubai Municipality Coastal Monitoring and Forecasting website. All data is fed continually on a near real-time basis to the website, where an interactive map is shown on the home page detailing the present wind, wave, current and temperature characteristics at each remote station. An extensive data catalogue is also available. This catalogue is only available at some security access levels, but if the user is of sufficient access level, any data parameter from any of the remote monitoring stations can be accessed, where time series can be produced and data spreadsheets can be downloaded. The next few slides show in detail what each of the remote sensing stations look like. The two offshore buoys at Jebel Ali and Palmdera have a twin mooring to 2 concrete sinkers. Solar panels installed on each buoy power most of their equipment, where everything is wired into a central water-resistant electronics enclosure. Both buoys have an ADCP installed on the seabed, with a large amount of cable running between the electronics enclosure on the buoy and the ADCP itself. Only the Palmdera buoy has a water quality sonde mounted on the side of its structure to sample the water at the surface. The ADCPs installed at Jumeirah Open Beach, Jumeirah Beach Hotel and Al Mamzar all have only small surface marker buoy, as due to their close proximity to the shore, the ADCPs are able to be powered directly from land. Each of these marker buoys are moored to a sinker block, from which a shot line links to the ADCP installed in a concrete block. This concrete block keeps the ADCP in an upright orientation and protects it from damage. The Dubai ADCP buoy and the Jumeirah Open Beach marker buoys are very similar systems. Neither are run off shore power, so both have solar panels and an electronics enclosure mounted on their upper structure. Dubai has a twin mooring attached to 2 sinker blocks and cable running from the buoy down to the ADCP. The JOB buoy has only a single mooring and a mounting within its central well for a water quality sonde, the sensors of which protrude from the base of the buoy at a sampling depth of approximately 1 metre. The Al Shindaga setup consists of a horizontally mounted ADCP, which measures cross-channel currents, and a tide gauge, both of which are mounted to the quay wall and hardwired directly into a land-based electronics enclosure. The HADCP is attached to this runner track so that it can be winched up and down easily when needed for routine maintenance and cleaning. Jebel Ali and Al Mamzar both have seabed installed tide gauges, which are mounted to a specially designed heavy stainless steel frame. These frames not only ensure that the tide gauge remains in its installation location, but their shape ensures that the tide gauge would not be damaged by a dredging vessel. Both stations are hardwired to land-based electronics enclosures, where the cable has been run through the rocks of the sea wall at both locations for protection. The tide gauges installed at Dubai Festival City, Jumeirah Beach Hotel and Al Shindaga are all mounted slightly differently to the quay walls. The tide gauge at Dubai Festival City is run through a pipe and hangs from a stainless steel wire and can be pulled to the surface for ease of cleaning and maintenance. All 3 tide gauges are hardwired to a land-based electronics enclosure.